Have a look at this beautiful mountain over there. This is how I got scammed. I bought a coin that I was not able to sell anymore. A classical honeypot scam, but it's not your regular honeypot scam. So at the beginning, I was actually able to buy and sell properly, and I was able to trade this profitably up here. But then suddenly came a point where when I tried to sell on PancakeSwap, no matter what kind of slippage I entered, no matter what I did, I couldn't do anything anymore. I can't transfer the token anymore. I can't sell it. I can't add it to a liquidity pool. Nothing works anymore. Now in this video, we are going to look at the contract. We are going to look at the mechanics behind all of this. How was this even possible that at the beginning everything worked and then suddenly it stopped? The content of this video is usually just reserved for the premium members. For this particular video, I do make an exception. Simply be aware that the content here tends to be more advanced, right? The premium members get the advanced content. Usually on YouTube, there's more basic fundamental stuff. So hope you enjoy the video. Welcome to another premium update, today with a very interesting story. This video is worth roughly 1 BNB. That's the kind of money I had to pay to learn this lesson. Don't repeat my mistakes and have a look at what happened over here. So this is the AiRihla token, okay? I learned about this through my front run bot, right? Where I scan the mempool and I check for large transactions. I don't get front run. This is how I stumbled across this token. And what I usually do is with these kinds of trades, I first try out very small amounts and see if everything works well, right? Because some coins, they are scammy and you potentially can't sell them, or they at least have a large sales tax or whatever it is. So that's what I first tried. So I front ran one of the transactions of this AiRihla token, just a little test run, so $6. That worked out well, and then I sold it for slightly more. So all green. I then front ran another trade, this time upping it a little bit, right? 0.2 BNB, paid $59. Then I sold for $60, and I thought, hey, this is quite interesting. What also was interesting around the time is that I mainly saw buying transactions, not so many selling transactions. So let's see if I can find the history here somewhere where I was actually making the sell. I can't find it right now. But anyways, so you can see these transactions here, right? I made profit and I was able to buy and sell easily. And because I saw these relatively continuous increasing buying transactions, I thought, okay, I don't even need the front run bot here. Let's just gamble a bit, play around with this. I knew, of course, that this is risky, but you only live once. So I simply just went to PancakeSwap and bought 0.5 BNB, and I did this twice. I bought 2 times in a row. I wanted to buy 1 BNB, but I simply split it up just in order to avoid front run bots, even though I haven't seen any. So this should have already made me suspicious that there are no other front run bots in a relatively active token. But anyway, I went ahead and I got here $150 roughly and here $150 roughly. All fine, right? So I was able to trade 2 times in and out properly. And then I wanted to sell and see what now happens when I try to sell. I swap over here. You can already see that my 1 BNB was cut in half. If I now try to sell though, I can't. Insufficient input amount. Try increasing your slippage tolerance. And even if I increase the slippage, it won't go through, right? So this is not working. So a honeypot. But we do see occasional selling transactions, right? What's going on here? So when we look at these minute charts, this becomes a bit more obvious, right? There seems to be times where the price tends to rise continuously and then other times where it tends to sell. And it seems like maybe this is a good idea to kind of trade, right? Just buy on the way up and make sure to exit quickly enough. But this is why there's really much more to learn here before we can actually get into anything here. You can't just randomly trade any tokens without having a really, really sophisticated algorithm to check how dangerous they potentially are, especially on the Binance Smart Chain, right? If you've watched the prior video that I've posted of these very professional front runners, they've got very professional algorithms to figure out how dangerous potentially a token is. Now, what I've done after I have not been able to sell here, right? It's my very first time, by the way, where I fall for such a honeypot token. What I did then is I looked at the code. So this was actually interesting. This scam coin was still submitting all their code within the Binance Smart Chain. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe you even have to submit it in order to be able to trade on PancakeSwap. That would be my only explanation, because actually once you can read the code, you'll suddenly figure out what's going on. So let's look at the code. I've copy pasted it over here. I called it honeypot.sol. And first of all, we have these normal functions over here, right? Total supply and transfer and approve, everything fine. This is just the interface. This is showing what the token can do. And this is the standard according to ERC20. You can see this has been submitted on the 10th of September. Now let's dive here into the details. What actually happened? Why was I able to trade this initially? And now, even if I take like micro small amounts, I'm not able to swap anymore. What kind of magic happened here, right? I will just show this again. I can't swap anymore. Insufficient input amount. So here's what's going on. This is the contract where the contract is starting. So the AlRihla token. And here we've got interesting things that are relatively uncommon. So the first thing that's uncommon is that we've got the hard-coded address of somebody that can perform certain actions. Other people can't. So he has this only can variable. So there's somebody with this address that does something to this token that other addresses can't do. And then we can also see here the liquidity pool token hard-coded into the contract. This is also very uncommon. Now, first of all, it's interesting to look at this only can wallet, right? Why not look at this when we see this hard-coded in the address? So let's go over there. This is what we see in BSC scan. We see there are a few actions here, but it doesn't look any problematic at all, right? It's just like swapping. So what is this actually? Now let's go into the details. The only can modifier is basically showing whenever there is this keyword over here that this is not something that anybody can perform, but only this particular address over here, right? So what we see here is that this function called swap can only be performed by the owner. And what does it do? It changes some kind of data mapping. Okay, so there is a map of data shown over here, which he calls swap, which is on the one side of the map, an address, and on the other side of a map, some data structure that has a swap limit and an is swap inside. Okay, so this contract keeps a record of a lot of addresses and adds to the address a swap limit and an is swap variable. Now, why is this so interesting? What about this? What is happening here with this swap thing? So only the admin, only the person that's mentioned here in this contract can write into this map. Okay, so he can write here this is swap variable and he can write here this limit. So the swap function doesn't really swap anything. It only updates the map, this swap variable. Okay, it writes something to the swap variable on the blockchain, and it is a map of different wallets with is swap and swap limit. So when we go to that address again, right, to these swap methods, let's go to one of those transactions. Let's click on more and let's decode this. You can see exactly what's happening here. He has a certain wallet here. He enters is swap true, and he puts in a limit of 0. Okay, let's look at another swap. So he stores in this swap variable, again, another wallet is swap true and 0. And if you do a little bit of digging, you also find this for my wallet over here. Here, look at this. This is my account. And here's the transaction where he used my account and said is swap true and num 0. And this transaction now, because he has submitted this to his map, does not allow me to swap here anymore. This is what kills the swap function for me. Why? Let's have a look at this. So we've got this swap variable, right? Let's search for the swap variable within the code. So we just click here with control, check where the swap variable is used. It's used for the update over here. This was the update code. And it's also used over here in these two places. And this is for the transfer function. So the transfer function is used both when doing a swap via a DEX, but it's also used when you want to send a token. So I can't even send this token anymore. I can't just only swap it. I also am now stuck with this token on my wallet forever. I can't send it to another recipient. And why is that? Because over here, he's checking if the recipient of the transfer is the liquidity pair on Uniswap, then apply this logic. Or if the sender of this transfer is within the map, then apply this logic. Otherwise, don't apply the logic. What is that logic? The logic is it takes the transfer amount and it multiplies it with the swap limit that had been stored here on the blockchain, 0. Okay, so I want to transfer the token somewhere else, or I want to swap the token somewhere else. That amount is being multiplied by 0. And it's multiplied by 0 because I am in this swap map that he's saving. If I'm not in the map, then I can simply just continue with all of this action. Now here's the problem, right? This swap variable, it can only be modified by this only can account. It can only be modified by this address over here. There is another method that is to change the only can account. Let me see if I can find that. Here, set only can. But the problem is that this is also unfortunately properly protected. I can't just call this and set myself to the new owner of this. Okay, so that's what essentially happened. So when we look at this, I was able to buy and sell here. Actually, let's update all of these pages so that we have the correct timestamps. Okay, and then I bought over here, and then here is the login. So I bought here 1 hour 30 minutes ago. I bought here I sold here 1 hour 29 minutes ago, all fine. Then I bought here 1 hour 25 and I sold 1 hour 24. Everything fine. Then I bought 1 hour 4 minutes ago. I bought again 1 hour 4 minutes ago. And the login happened 1 hour 4 minutes ago. So it happened exactly 4 blocks after my second purchase over here. So he seems to be running another logic. He seems to be running some kind of logic that after a certain threshold, he automatically puts you on this blacklist that can't do anything with the token anymore. And to disguise this a little bit, he calls this function not blacklist, but swap. So this is only 10 seconds after my second purchase. So I don't know what the exact logic here is that he's using in order to make this happen. But after 2 purchases of 0.5 BNB, he activated this and now I'm done. Now, what I could do, right, in order to kind of get revenge here is I could check for whenever this token is in buying mode again, right? So he dumped now on everybody, including me, and I can't sell the token anymore. All that money is gone. Now he stopped dumping and let the price again recover. Maybe he's buying himself. Maybe he lets other people buy. Probably the price action over here attracts some people. That's why he can do all of these locks. But there is a logic that's running that creates these locks, and it was not triggered after the very first purchase, right? It was not triggered with these small purchases. It was not triggered with the very first half BNB purchase. So one potential idea to exploit this would be to use another wallet, of course, then be below his threshold, buy, then wait until the price goes up, and then of course sell before he does the login. The problem though is that you need to somehow gamble on being able to reverse engineer the logic when he actually does the login, right? So this is what we could do. Probably buying 0.25 BNB and then selling it 10 minutes after would work. But the best idea probably to reverse engineer his lockup logic, because he doesn't always lock up, right? You could, in theory, unless he hasn't locked you up yet, trade exactly this. The best way to probably reverse engineer this would be to go to this address, this only can exploiter address, and then check all of the transactions where he did the blacklisting. Okay, so let's say, for example, for this one, right, 15 minutes ago, he blacklisted somebody. So we decode this. We see that's the one he blacklisted. Haha, very interesting, right? This is very likely a front run bot because he has so many zeros. So I'm not the only one who's falling for this. Professional people with very good accounts, they also fall for this. So he has been locked up. Let's see what kind of purchase he actually made that triggered this lockup. So let's click on this address. This is the address. Let's check the BEP20 token transfers and let's try to find this. What is the name of this token again? Should be called honeypot token, but it was a bit more, yeah, AlRihla. Okay, so let's check that here. Here he's got an in and an out. So he did actually do a proper buy and sell. He did make money on this probably. Let's check this. So he bought for 110. He sold for 112 and he did this within 2 blocks. Okay, so this guy is now blacklisted for selling, but he did make his initial purchase here properly. He did make a profitable trade here. So basically front ran all of these things here. Now the big question is if the logic of this front run bot is smart enough not to buy again. So this is where now the sophistication comes in. If you've got a heuristic here, and this was basically my downfall why I fell for this, right? If you've got the heuristic here and that just because the trade, the buying and selling worked in the past, that it will continue to work in the future, then you're mistaken. You do have to kind of simulate probably if the whole thing goes through for buying and selling before you actually do anything with the token. Because if you don't, you simply just get blacklisted. Let's look at another account that got blacklisted just for entertainment purposes. Maybe we can learn something from this. Here's another account. Okay, let's click on that. Let's look at the transfers. And here we can see, only purchases, no sells. This guy is now blacklisted. He can't sell anymore. So let's get into the details here. And he lost, what's that? Here, he tried to transfer to another address already. Okay, so this is actually already a poor soul that tried to exit this. And what he lost was only $34. Okay, so I have it worse. I don't feel that bad for him. But yeah, okay, actually, so this is actually the reason why we did all of this digging, right? So it seems like it's not necessarily only the size that determines if you get on this blacklist data map, because this is comparatively smaller than what I had, right? And I was able to buy and sell 0.2 BNB properly before. Let's look again at the time when he actually got blacklisted. So there we go. This was in block 3091, 30. Okay, so this was like 20 blocks after the purchase, which is roughly a minute. Okay, so roughly a minute after purchase, he was blocked. My buying and selling was maybe quickly enough. I don't know why I wasn't blocked at the very beginning here already, where I was able actually to sell the first 2 times. The other front run bot was also able to buy and sell quickly, but that happened within 3 seconds. This guy here got blacklisted after 1 minute roughly. So yeah, it's probably a bit dangerous to try to figure out when he actually blacklists people. Just try to take advantage of these kinds of buys. But this is again where kind of like skills come into play, right? After all of this research now, we kind of have a pretty good understanding how he is doing all of this. And if we now had more skills where we could very quickly buy and sell, similar to what the other front run bot has done, then we could actually exploit this guy as well pretty quickly. So we scan the mempool for a large transaction, we front run the transaction as I've done with prior transactions, but then also directly afterwards we do the selling transaction, maybe even in an atomic way, right? So within one transaction, sandwich one of those. If we do this with a sandwich trade and we check before we do the trade that map, if we are blacklisted on the map or not, then we could probably front run each of those single purchases. We could sandwich each of those single purchases and make like $1 or $2 on each of them. And what we obviously would have to do is we would have to send, after we've done our profit and we made a profitable sandwich, we would then have to send this to a new wallet and then make the sandwich with another wallet, right? Because he would keep adding people to this blacklist, right? But if you're in and out quickly enough before he can put you on the blacklist, then you can actually make money with each of those single transactions. So those are the kinds of strategies where people battle against each other in those micro tokens. This is how we could potentially even take the scammers' money, basically. Yeah, I basically do this mainly for learning, and hopefully the more I play around with those things, the faster it will then also be for me to set things like this up, right? So with all of this knowledge now from this video, from all of this experience, I would have done the buy and sell quite differently to what I've done over here. I think there's actually still a way to exploit the exploiter, so to speak. Am I going to write a program just for this now? Probably not, because I'm not yet fluent enough. Writing something like this that builds the sandwich quickly enough and writing a custom contract that does this even within a single transaction, that would probably take me a day or maybe even 2. I'm not yet far enough, but maybe in a few months or so, this is not a thing of a few days anymore, but just of a few minutes, and it's fast to hack this out, and then I can also take advantage of that stuff. Anyway, I just wanted to show you all of this, kind of like what's going on, how people are taking other people's monies, or somebody took roughly $300 from me, but for me, I see this as a learning opportunity. I've definitely learned from this. I've definitely improved my skill with all of this. And it's the very first time I actually look at a honeypot contract that's comparatively advanced, right? It gives you some kind of a delay in blacklisting you and kind of puts you into a false sense of security at the beginning. It's probably also the reason why the token has been around for such a long time. If you do allow some of those arbitrage, the advanced arbitrage bots to trade on your token and make money with it, then more and more trading volume gets on the token, and that then creates obviously also more attention, right? In the last 24 hours, 200K of trading volume. So doing it like this, rather than just like blank out blocking selling altogether, is a comparatively smart way of doing things, right? Is it ethical? Who knows? But I guess everybody that gets into something like this kind of at least has a feeling that they are leaving the areas of well-protected, regulated finance, right? This is the Wild West. And for that, this guy gets a poop emoji from me. There we go. Okay. If you feel like you've learned something in this video, feel free to check out the premium membership. It's currently $75 per month. I publish advanced content there regularly. And of course, you can also ask me any questions there. There is a private chat. More information about the premium membership is in this video over here. Hope to see you in that video, and thanks for watching this one. Bye-bye.